Okay, YouTube, this is Stevie J from AngryMarks.com, and normally after a pay-per-view I talk to you about what happened, give you the results of the show, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, but we gotta go a different direction with this one first, because Battleground was a historic event, and not for the reasons they intended it to be. So we need to start out with this, the most important thing to know: the lights went out. Literally, the power went out in Buffalo at the First Niagara Center. No power. No pay-per-view for about 5 minutes. They had a complete blackout. It was a throwback to the 1990s, to the Beware of Dog pay-per-view. That's what it felt like. That's what people were tweeting. It kind of turned into a comedy event. People were coming up with reasons why the blackout happened. Maybe the government shutdown was to blame. Charles Robinson suggested that he plugged in a hairdryer and blew a fuse. And apparently for about 5 minutes, Justin Roberts had to just stand there waiting to introduce the main event, as it was just time for Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan to go on. But then Michael Cole came back, and the satellite feed came back, and everything came back, and they said, "We will give you this match in its entirety." Well, that's an interesting promise to make, because what they gave us in its entirety was a non-finish to end a WWE pay-per-view. They had a good, maybe not the best match that Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan have ever had, but a good match. It was enjoyable enough. So basically, here's what happens. Big Show decides that he's going to follow the orders of the executives in the back, whether it's Brad Maddox, who appeared to be running things tonight, or Triple H telling Brad Maddox what to do. He knocks out the referee, and he knocks out Daniel Bryan, and each time he has a look of regret on his face, and the fired referee, Scott Armstrong, is supposed to officiate from this point on. But then Big Show has a change of heart and decides, no, I don't want that either. So then he knocks out Scott Armstrong, and Randy Orton starts getting in his face, lipping off and saying, "Do you know how much trouble you're in? Do you know what's going to happen to you tomorrow? You know what's going to be the outcome of this? You're a stupid idiot," blah, 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 whatever he said. And then Big Show was like, bam, knocks out Randy Orton too. So that's how the pay-per-view goes off the air, with no finish, no decision. The WWE title is still in abeyance. Neither Randy Orton or Daniel Bryan wins. We don't even get a bell. It just ends with Big Show's music and the Big Show. That was WWE Battleground. But if you were going to come back from the blackout and still finish the pay-per-view, honestly would have stuck to whatever plan they had. If this was their plan all along, it's a pretty terrible one, because it's a no finish to something that people either paid $45 to $55 to see on pay-per-view, or much more than that for a live ticket if they were in Buffalo. So I don't think you want to give your paying customers a no finish to end a pay-per-view. Even if we got screwed out of the title change at the last pay-per-view, at least it was a finish, and then they overturned it the next night. This one wasn't even that. It's like WWE literally comes up with more and more ways to say, how can we tell our fans we don't want your money, that we don't care that you like Daniel Bryan, that we're not interested in delivering professional wrestling with finishes and results that you can care about. Here, let's thumb our nose at your money and give it all back to you because we don't want it. Thanks. That doesn't exactly fill me with confidence as a stockholder that they're doing the right thing. You know, this storyline, this kayfabe work-shoot storyline that it's, quote, good for business to do what the McMahons want, is turning out to be anything other than good for business. The ratings are down. The pay-per-views are getting worse and worse. I don't know what their idea is here, but it's clearly everything that's bad for business. But here are the other results, just for the record, since history will want to record what happened at Battleground Beware of Dog. Dolph Ziggler defeated Damian Sandow clean in a pre-show match that aired on YouTube, and not without some share of technical difficulties itself. This one kept freezing over and over again throughout. In arguably one of the better matches of the evening, Alberto Del Rio and Rob Van Dam had a contest for the World Heavyweight title under hardcore rules, and Van Dam got to do a lot of his classic spot, Terminator with a chair, but in the end, it didn't work out for him. He got beat up to the point where Alberto Del Rio was able to apply the cross-arm breaker and make Rob Van Dam tap, and in hardcore rules, you can win by submission or pinfall, so Alberto Del Rio retains the title. And no heel turn by Ricardo, as had been rumored going into the pay-per-view. He actually got into a fight with Alberto Del Rio during the match and hit him with a bucket, but then Alberto Del Rio laid him out on the outside. In a nothing match that nobody will remember years from now, the Real Americans beat the Great Khali and Santino Marella. The less said about this, the better. Curtis Axel's entrance music beat R-Truth for the Intercontinental title. I say that because it's more exciting than he is. In what was slightly better than the average Divas title match, and only because it featured AJ Lee going batshit crazy, Brie Bella went down to defeat. The true highlight of the night, and what people were giving the most feedback about on Twitter, at AngryMarks and elsewhere, was Cody Rhodes and Goldust defeating The Shield to win their jobs in WWE. And Dusty Rhodes was there with them to celebrate. It was a big Rhodes family party. In a late scheduled addition to the pay-per-view, Bray Wyatt defeated Kofi Kingston, and in the co-main event of the evening, CM Punk defeated Paul Heyman's protege Ryback. So that will probably be leading somewhere tomorrow on Raw. That's your WWE Battleground thoughts and results. I'm Stevie J from AngryMarks.com.